All right, so I just want to do a quick 1-year update video on this gun here. This is the Smith & Wesson M&P Shield Plus Performance Center 4-inch model. I chose not to get the ports on it, so it's just a normal 4-inch model. Reliability wise, this gun's been awesome. I've had one failure, which I believe was just a hard primer strike. I'll show a video of that here. Really? Interesting. So like I said, the bullet failed to go off. Can't really cite that against the gun. The ammo was remanufactured, so most likely just a hard primer that didn't want to go off. Other than that though, I've had no feeding issues. Sometimes the slide won't lock back, but that's just my grip. I tend to ride on the slide release here, and so I'm shooting, it doesn't like to lock back sometimes. But other than that, absolutely no issues with the gun. The trigger is absolutely amazing. Like I said before, this is probably one of the best out of the box triggers you can get in a carry gun like this. A little bit of take up right here, but then you hit a nice solid wall. No creep in the wall, and then it breaks. Reset is good, short, breaks again. So very, very, very happy with the trigger. Accuracy's been great. I've had no issues whatsoever. So moving on to the Optic. So this gun came with a Crimson Trace micro red dot. Wasn't a huge fan of it. It had a polymer housing, and then the brightness was automatic. There was no buttons to adjust the brightness. It just adjusted on its own. Wasn't a real big fan of that. I like having control over how bright my dot gets. So I switched it out for a Swamp Fox Sentinel. Now this has been awesome. I've had no issues with it, except I believe my first battery that I had in there got corroded somehow. The dot started not turning on when I would pick it up. So I'd pick up my gun and the dot would not turn on. I thought that was a little strange, and I kept on doing that for a little bit, and then eventually it just stopped working. So I figured it's probably the battery, replaced the battery, and when I did, the battery is partially corroded on this side. Now what I think is causing that is that when I'm carrying this, my sweat is getting down in between the Optic and the slide here, and it might be corroding the battery. So since after replacing that first battery, I've made it a habit to make sure when I pull this out that I wipe it down, that I don't let any of the sweat sit there. Other than that though, I really like the Optic. You can't really tell on this camera, but it comes up real nice and crisp and clear. No other issues except for possible sweat getting down in there. All right, now let's go on to the holster. So this is the We the People holster. It's made for this gun with the Optic cut. Overall, I really like the holster. Fits it good, carries well. The only thing I've noticed though is that when I am driving, I carry my gun in the 4 o'clock position, and sometimes, I don't know if it's the holster's fault or the gun's fault, but if I lean back on it too much, it'll pop the magazine out. I'd like to think that maybe if the magazine button was covered by this holster, that it wouldn't do that. I'm not sure though. So I've just gotten in the habit of making sure, if I've been sitting down for a long time, that I reach back there, just make sure that magazine is seated all the way. But yeah, this gun's been awesome. Really enjoyed it. If I could change one thing about it, I would add a rail here. I think it'd really be nice to have one of those micro lights here, but you know, it is what it is. I just carry one in my pocket instead. But yeah, so been awesome. No complaints whatsoever. If you're looking for a good carry gun, highly recommend this. This is extended magazine, has 13 rounds, and then the flush fit has 10 rounds. But yeah, hope you found the video helpful. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. Thanks.